He slammed the car door shut and ran. Rain cut across the street in sharp slants, soaking his shirt, blurring the streetlights, drowning out the sound of his own breathing. Amina stood at the bus stop, clutching her bag to her chest, her shoulders stiff like she was holding herself together by force alone. "Wait!" he shouted. She didn't turn. "Please, Amina!" She froze. Slowly she turned, her eyes already glossy, already tired. "You're late," she said, her voice calm in the way people get when they're done fighting. "I know. I'm sorry, You always are." Silence stretched between them, heavy and loud. A bus hissed to a stop behind her, doors opening like an invitation to disappear. "If you get on that bus," he said, stepping closer, "everything changes." She laughed softly, bitter. "Everything already changed when you stopped choosing me." His name was Idris. He had always believed love was something you earned after success, after stability, after everything else fell into place. Amina believed love was the place you built from the beginning. They met a year earlier by accident, two strangers arguing over the last seat in a crowded cafe. She had smiled while scolding him, and he had been caught off guard by how easily she laughed. That argument turned into coffee. Coffee into long walks, and long walks into something neither of them planned but both of them felt. "You don't talk much," she had told him on their third meeting. "I think too much," he replied. "Then think out loud," she said. "Let me hear it." She made space for him. That was her gift. Now she stood in front of him, soaked and shaking, and he could feel the space closing. "Say something," she said. "Say anything that makes this worth staying for." He opened his mouth, closed it. The words felt too small for what he felt, and too late for what he'd done. "What do you want me to say?" he asked. "The truth." He swallowed. "I'm scared." Her face tightened. "Of me? Of failing you? I never asked you to be perfect." "I know. But every time I look at you, I see everything I'm not yet." "That's not love, Idris. That's pride." The bus driver cleared his throat loudly. Amina took a step back. "I can't keep loving you alone." "I do love you," he said quickly. "Then why does it feel like I'm the only one choosing us?" Because choosing her meant risking everything he'd planned. Because choosing her meant uncertainty. Because walking away felt safer than staying and falling short. He didn't say any of that. She nodded, like she'd already heard his silence. "I got an offer in another city. I leave tonight." His heart dropped. "You were just going to go?" "I waited," she said quietly. "You just never came." She turned toward the bus, then hesitated. "I meant it when I said I loved you. I just won't beg you to love me back." The doors closed. As the bus pulled away, Idris stood in the rain, realizing that the moment he thought he'd have forever to fix was gone in seconds. Weeks passed. He threw himself into work, into goals, into the version of life that was supposed to make sense without her. It worked on the surface. Promotions came. Praise followed. Nights stayed quiet. Too quiet. Every success felt hollow. Every win echoed with her absence. One night, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Do you ever miss the cafe seat you fought so hard for?" His chest tightened. "Idris." "Amina?" Three dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "Amina. I shouldn't have texted." "Idris. Don't disappear again." Minutes passed before her reply came. "Amina. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed to know if I imagined what we had." He stared at the screen, his hands trembling. "Idris. You didn't imagine it. I just didn't know how to hold it." A long pause. "Amina. I'm tired of almosts." Idris typed. Deleted. Typed again. "Idris. Then don't let us be one." Her response came slower this time. "Amina. Words are easy. Choices are not." The call button glowed on his screen. He hesitated. Then he pressed it. As the phone rang, Idris realized this was the moment that would decide everything, whether love would remain a memory or finally become a choice. Her voice answered, soft and guarded. "Hello? I..." His words faltered. "I can't do this over text. Can you meet me?" There was silence, heavy, like the phone itself was holding its breath. "Where?" "The park near the river." "1 hour? I'll be there." He hung up and ran to the mirror. Tie crooked, hair wet from the rain. He didn't care. All that mattered was getting to her. The park was empty, the river reflecting the moon like molten silver. Amina was there, leaning against the railing, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the water. "You came," she said, voice low. "I had to," he said, stopping a few feet away, letting the tension thicken. "I've been a fool. I thought I could fix everything by myself." She studied him, searching for the honesty she hadn't seen before. "And now?" "Now I know some things can't be fixed alone. I need you." His hands shook, but he forced them to remain at his sides. Amina laughed softly, humorless. "You always sound like you're rehearsing." "I am," he admitted. "But it's the truth." She stepped closer, and the distance between them seemed smaller yet unbearable at the same time. "Tell me why I should stay. Not because you say it, but because you'll actually choose me." He swallowed hard. "Because life without you is meaningless. Because I can't promise perfection, but I can promise I'll choose you every day, even when it's hard, even when I fail." Tears glistened in her eyes. "You really mean that?" "I do," he said, voice breaking. "I've spent weeks imagining my life if I lost you, and I can't. I won't." She looked away, blinking fast, the wind tugging at her hair. "Do you know how it felt to think I was not enough for you?" "I know now," he said, stepping closer, voice low. "And I hate myself for it." Amina hesitated, her chest rising and falling rapidly. "You hurt me, Idris, but maybe we can try again." "Try?" he asked, hope threading through his tone. "Not just try. We fight. We choose. Every day. No excuses," she said, taking his hand. "If you're serious, prove it." "I am," he said, gripping her hand tighter. "I've never been more serious about anything." They stood there, the river murmuring behind them, the city lights flickering like silent witnesses. Moments passed, heavy with emotion, every heartbeat louder than the last. Amina finally smiled, a trembling, vulnerable smile. "You better not screw this up." "I won't," he whispered. She leaned closer, and for a heartbeat everything else vanished. The distance, the fear, the months apart. It was just them, two hearts reconnecting, two souls learning to trust again. He pulled her close, careful, reverent, and she rested her head on his chest. "We have a long way to go," she murmured. "We do," he said. "But I'd walk 1,000 storms just to be here." She lifted her head, eyes meeting his. "Then don't waste a second." He kissed her softly, rain and wind swirling around them like the world itself was celebrating. The kiss wasn't just desire. It was apology. It was promise. It was a decision sealed. A text buzzed from the side. Idris glanced at his phone, a reminder to breathe. He ignored it. Nothing else mattered. As they pulled apart, he looked at her, heart full. "We have to be deliberate. No more running. No more hiding." "I'm ready," she said, gripping his hand tighter. "But you'll have to prove it. Every day." "I will," he said, determination burning in his chest. "Because I finally understand. Love isn't just a feeling. It's a choice. And I choose you." The rain slowed, leaving the park glistening with reflections of moonlight and city lights. For the first time in weeks, Idris felt something he hadn't felt in a long while. Hope. Real. and tangible, because this time he wasn't alone in it. They walked together along the river bank, the silence between them comfortable, full of unspoken promises. And as they reached the bridge where they first met, Amina turned to him, a playful glint returning to her eyes. "You still owe me a coffee?" she teased. "I'll pay for it with a lifetime of choosing you," he said, and she laughed, the sound like sunlight breaking through clouds. They didn't notice the hours passing. They didn't care. Because for the first time, both understood that some love stories aren't about perfect timing. They're about choosing each other when the world says otherwise. Days turned into weeks, and loving each other again felt different, heavier, more deliberate. Idris showed up. Not grand gestures, not speeches. Presence. Calls returned, plans kept, apologies made without excuses. Still, fear didn't disappear. It waited. One evening, Amina sat across from him, fingers wrapped around her mug. "You've been quiet," she said. "I'm thinking," he replied. She raised an eyebrow. "That usually scares me." He exhaled. "I got an offer. Overseas." Her smile faded instantly. "When were you going to tell me?" "I just found out," he said quickly. "That's why I'm telling you now." Silence settled between them again, familiar and dangerous. "So," she said slowly, "this is it. The test." "It doesn't have to be," he said. "I can say no." Amina shook her head. "I won't be the reason you shrink your dreams." "And I won't build dreams that exclude you," he said firmly. She stood up, pacing. "You said you'd choose me. I need to know what that means when things get hard." "It means I don't run," he said. "It means we decide together." Her voice cracked. "I already packed my life once for you. I can't do that again blindly." He walked to her, stopping inches away. "Then don't. Let's be clear. Honest. If we do this, it's with a plan." She searched his face. "And if the plan fails? Then we adapt. Together." Amina's eyes filled. "You sound different." "I am," he said softly, "because losing you taught me what winning without you feels like. Empty." She laughed through tears. "You're unfair." "Stay," he whispered. "Not because it's easy. Because it's us." She nodded slowly. "Okay, but no more half choices." "No more," he promised. They sat down and talked for hours. Logistics, fears, boundaries, love stripped bare and rebuilt brick by brick. It wasn't romantic. It was real. Months later, the distance tested them again. Time zones stretched conversations thin. Missed calls hurt more than arguments. Some nights, Amina cried alone, wondering if love was supposed to feel this hard. One night, she said it out loud. "I'm tired." "I know," Idris replied, voice heavy. "But don't quit on me." "I'm not quitting," she said. "I'm asking if you're still here." "I am," he said, without hesitation. "Tell me what you need." "I need to know when this ends," she said. "I need to know you're coming back." There was a pause. Then, steady and sure, "I am." "When?" "Soon," he said. "I've been planning something." Her heart raced. "Idris." "Trust me," he said. "Just a little longer." Weeks later, Amina walked into the cafe, the same one where everything started. She froze. Idris stood by the window, nervous, smiling. "You said you were busy," she said, stunned. "I lied," he said. "I was flying." She covered her mouth. "What about the job?" "I resigned," he said calmly. "I realized something." She stepped closer, eyes wide. "What?" "That forever can't be postponed." The cafe went quiet as he reached into his pocket. Her breath caught. "I'm not perfect," he said, voice shaking, "but I'm done choosing fear over love." He knelt. Amina dropped her bag. "Marry me," he said, "not because everything is certain, but because I will always choose you." Tears streamed down her face as she nodded, unable to speak. Yes, she whispered. Yes. Applause erupted around them. Idris stood, pulling her into his arms, both of them shaking, laughing, crying all at once. Later, as they sat together, hands intertwined, Amina leaned into him. Promise me something. Anything. When it gets hard again, don't run. He kissed her forehead. Never again. They didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, they weren't afraid of it. And as they walked out of the cafe together, fingers locked tight, two hearts finally understood what forever really meant. The wedding was small, intentional, no excess, no noise, just the people who mattered and the promises that did. As Amina walked toward him, Idris forgot every speech he had prepared. All he could see was the woman he almost lost. You're shaking, she whispered when she reached him. So are you, he smiled. That's because this is real. It always was, he said softly. When they said their vows, there were no rehearsed lines, only truth. I choose you, Idris said, voice unsteady. On the days I'm strong, and on the days I'm afraid. I choose you, even when love is hard. Amina swallowed, tears slipping free. I choose you too. Not because you're perfect, but because you're willing. Because you stay. When the ring slid into place, something inside both of them finally settled. Marriage didn't make life easier. It made it honest. They argued, they learned, they failed and tried again. Some nights ended in silence. Others ended in laughter on the kitchen floor at 2 a.m., sharing dreams that scared them just as much as they excited them. One night, years later, Amina sat beside him on the balcony, city lights glowing below. Do you ever think about that night at the bus stop? Idris nodded. All the time. I almost left forever, she said quietly. And I almost let you, he replied. That thought still scares me. She rested her head on his shoulder. But you ran. I did, he said, and I'll keep running. Toward you. She smiled. Forever isn't a place, is it? No, he said, squeezing her hand. It's a decision we keep making. The wind brushed past them gently, peaceful, earned. Years later, they would tell their story to anyone who asked, not as a fairy tale, but as a reminder. Love isn't about finding the perfect person. It's about choosing the imperfect one, again and again. And if you've made it this far, thank you for staying with this story. If it moved you, like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that remind us what love really is. Because sometimes, forever doesn't begin with certainty. It begins with two hearts choosing each other, on purpose.